Here we are back, ready for more. I mean, what a great weekend, Gas. What a great weekend it was to be a Seattle sports fan.
It was, but it was also kind of interesting because one of the reasons we all love sports is we like drama. And it was a drama. I guess Saturday night there's some drama in Houston. The end of that game was pretty exciting and Robo's catch. But for the most part, a drama-free weekend, which is those can be fun too when your team's on the right side of it all. And I imagine the Cougar fans are a little bummed. And there was, I guess, a little drama in the Apple Cup mid-third quarter. It felt like it still could go either way. But as far as the Mariners and the Seahawks game, Groz, that was over as fast as any NFL game I can remember. I'm sure there's other examples. But my God, 10 minutes in, it's like, well, this is done. The Saints are just flat done.
And on a day when Cleveland wins, a day where other massive underdogs play great, there's the Seahawks doing what, they haven't done really since the golden days. I mean, that was a Legion of Boom type of performance, where they just seemed to manhandle the other team. It didn't make any difference what they were doing. I know the Saints aren't very good, but that doesn't make any difference.
Yeah, it's
They're an
funny.
NFL team.
I'm watching, NFL team, and I'm watching the whole game. I'm thinking, you just don't see this very often. This is a once or twice a year phenomenon in the entire NFL where a team just gets outclassed that bad. And
38-6 at halftime.
Yeah, and the only reason it didn't get worse is because they ran up. McDonald's been around long enough to know how to run a second half like that and get through it fast and get guys, get them off the field and get the win and go home. And what a start for the Hawks, 2-1, and with a little luck here and there, could be 3-0. But certainly, I think they've got to feel pretty good about where they're at now. And I think the quick turnaround, right? Don't they have Arizona Thursday?
Yep, it can change everything.
Yeah.
It can throw us back into panic mode, and they are in good shape at 2-1. Yeah, maybe the wins are not the most ideal, but that doesn't matter in the NFL, man. I mean, it does not matter. As Andy Reid has always said, and many do, it's hard to win a game in the National Football League. It just is. So, it's going to be tough against the Cardinals. But the Saints had a terrible. They were really set up for the Seahawks. They had a terrible pass rush that makes Darnold, be the guy that he was. The guy that looked like he was last year, and he was sensational in the game yesterday. And, just to have a special team performance like that, I mean, that was maybe the best special team performance they've ever had.
Yeah, and allowed them to dominate. The Saints, and then the Saints with all the early penalties. I mean, it almost looked like the refs were just pissed at him about something, because it's the old joke, you can call holding on every play, and by God, for a while there, they did. I mean, every single play they're calling it.
Yeah, they were terrible. I mean, they were terrible. I mean, they were just terrible. And the Seahawks did what you're supposed to do against a team playing terrible. That's win. So, they didn't hear. I mean, take the flip side of it for a second here, and I'm thinking of how Russell Wilson was feeling when he was hearing, "We want Dart."
Right.
We want Dart.
Yeah.
I mean, as bad as things are going in some places, it's as good as things were going here. I mean, Michael Penix got benched yesterday. Now Atlanta's, it's crazy how things can change quickly in the NFL, but it was definitely a solid week for the Seahawks, as you put, nice and drama-free there, and, dovetailed nicely with the Mariners, who were just, it was one of the biggest 3-game series I can remember. We're going to have Dave Sims with us next week, Gas. And, I texted with him. Yeah, he's going to come on with us next week. And I texted with him a little bit today. And he asked, what does it feel like in the Pacific Northwest? Is it, feel the same? You got Trap Series coming up with Colorado. And I said, you know what, Dave? It feels different.
Yeah.
I've been here for 30 years. The only time it felt like this was maybe 95 because of the newness of it going in. But you didn't really think they had a chance to win the World Series. It was such an effort to just get there. And, 0-1, let's be honest, after 9/11, the whole tenor of the season changed. As great as the finish was for the Mariners, it was a different feeling.
Right.
This is now a feeling that I don't think we've had before. I think there's an expectation of getting to the World Series, and you're not the only ones thinking that, by the way. Just about everyone in the odds making world is thinking that right now. So, you've got a superstar in Cal Raleigh who's playing like a superstar, which is an important thing to have as well. It's kind of, you got Murderer's Row back with the way guys are hitting the ball. And, Dan Wilson, from 95 with Edgar in the back. I mean, there's a lot of good juju going around this team, a lot of it.
And if the two hottest teams in the American League stay the two hottest teams, then you're going to see Seattle host Cleveland in the second round. Seattle would get the number 2 slot and get a bye in the first round. Cleveland will get the number 3 spot, play the Yankees in the first round. If they stay hot, they beat the Yankees. That's a big if, but if they stay hot, they beat the Yankees. Suddenly you got 2 teams that since September have been, I didn't realize that Cleveland, like on September 4th, was below 500.
Well, I think about 2 weeks before that, there were 15 and a half games back. In like the end of August. So this is unparalleled, and Detroit's doing the opposite of what they did last year. And the Mariners now, it'll be a surprise that they don't have the bye. And I know everyone likes that and wants that, and because they need that. I'm not going to go against that, but I sure wish if they were playing well and they were working in guys, over the last couple of games, they didn't have to really push it for the last 2 or 3 games. I know you wouldn't wish for them not get a break, but boy, I kind of hate to sit a team down for 3 days when they're playing this well.
Especially because they'd likely be 3 home games, right? The way it's set up, you'd play 3 in Seattle. I'd still take the rest. I get your point.
I know.
Because baseball's a weird sport, man. The rhythm gets messed up quickly in the sport. But I think given your choice, I think you'd probably rather do that. But
no, you would. But it's just a testament to how well they're playing right now. I mean, really just it was 14 of the last 15, and they've just been hitting the way that on all cylinders. Everything that they thought they had, they have. And then, Robles, we thought he might be a little spark, but Jesus. I mean, he is just a huge, huge action, difference maker for this team. Just gives them a completely different feel.
Yeah, and I mean, the end of the game Saturday night was just spectacular, and I kind of laughed that Goldie got so worked up about the catch that he forgot about the double play. It took steely-eyed veteran broadcaster Jay Buhner to go double him off second, and they did. And, it was such a memorable ending to the game, and I agree with you. I mean, when Robles went out, it felt like, I sure hope they're able to get him back because I just think he does add a spark. I mean, teams need so many different characters. You need like the guys that hit 60 home runs, they're good to have. That's a good guy to have. A young, talented center fielder. But, you need those fiery guys, a fiery, wiry guy, and Robles is that. And, I'm thinking of other guys. At the time, Suarez was a couple of years ago. It felt like it still is. He still got a little of that. You need that in a team. Buhner was that guy in 95. They had so many superstars. But Buhner was the guy who, is in there yelling at people and getting things going and take down the damn wild card standings.
Right.
You need those characters in baseball, and Robles, it feels to me, fills that role quite
He's an
nicely.
igniter.
Yeah.
And he made the player of the year. I mean, all salute to Cal Raleigh and all the home runs and the great plays he's made. That's the player of the year right now. I mean, that really was, when we look back at that's the play that I believe when the dust clears, we'll look at that as the play that knocked Houston out of the playoffs. Ended their long streak because, I mean, they, 2 innings into the next game, Crawford hits a salami at 7-0. I mean, they were beat since the 9th inning of the last game, for crying out loud.
I mean, it's fun when it's against a rival, and the Mariners have gotten on a little more even footing with Houston the last couple of years. But boy, this felt like years of a bully taking your lunch money, and you finally swing back because, not only do you sweep them, not only to put yourselves in great position, you may have knocked them completely out of it. They may go from, we're going to win the West, all we got to do is win like one of these games against the Mariners, and they'll cool off. And instead, they may not even get to the postseason now, which would just be a darn shame.
Yeah, wouldn't it though? But it's does it feel different to you, Gas, this baseball team? It feels like a different vibe to me than it did even 2 years ago.
You know what it feels like, Dave? And I mean, I have to go back and look at 97 and 2000 to be sure. But when you think of the great Septembers in this city, you think of 95 and you think of 01. Both of those were weird. The Mariners win like 900 games in a row in 95 to come from way off the pace to somehow win, get to the postseason. And in 2001, they just ran away with it. This year has been more, in my opinion, like what a typical pennant race feels like. For a few weeks you're rolling and you're blowing and going and you're making plans. Then you lose 8 or 10 in a row. And they've had that happen a couple of times this year. This has been more of the roller coaster classic pennant race where it's taken all year. You said something years ago that always stayed with me. Baseball, more than any other sport, makes you wait.
Yeah,
and the people that had decided in May what was going to happen, or in July, or in August, nope, you just don't know because of the everyday thing and because of how quickly things can change. Shoot, Here's a sobering thought. They could still blow it.
Yeah.
They could still finish
Yeah.
out of the money. I mean, which, I don't think they will, but it's that sport. Boy, does it do weird things to you. But I think this is, don't you? We've both watched a lot of pennant races. This 95 and 01 just felt different and spectacular in their own ways and great. But this one has been more typical, I think.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of just a straight pennant race.
Yeah, in terms of again, so one week you feel like, hey, we're going to do it. The next week, like, oh, God, look at them, what they're doing.
Yep. And you're right. They shouldn't get ahead of ourselves. They could still blow it. I don't even want to think that, but it is baseball and anything can happen. And, the Rockies, you're just as good as your starting pitcher, and they've been terrible. But if they have a pitcher who the Mariners don't know well, I mean, anything can happen. So, all right, let's get off that train.
Just one more note.
I don't want to be on the anything can happen train.
Can't you hear Niehouse's voice? Mariners baseball. They could still blow it. I don't think they will, though. I think the team's built to do what they're doing. I don't know why I get this way. I think a lot of people are I don't know. I think people are like this, not specifically about this guy, but you love it when something good happens to somebody you've known for a long time. And I just love what's happening for Dan Wilson. I love that.
Yeah.
He took a little bit of a risk taking this job. If it blows up in his face, it's not like he destroys his legacy, but people are so quick to mock the manager and so quick to criticize. I'm happy for him that as it's winding down, his steady, non-explosive hand is a big part of why they're at where they're at.
Right. He may not be the most dynamic guy, may not be the, maybe a mistake or two here and there, but it doesn't matter. Right. He has created the environment for them to win. And I told you what Pinello said that year in 95, it has always stuck with me, is in the last 6 weeks of the season, it's up to the players.
Yeah.
We've done all we can. It's up to the players. And you see that expressed by Dan Wilson, trusting guys, going back to guys, time and time again. You're not going to lose your job or your position if you make a mistake. And it's something that pays off over the long run. And he has really been remarkable.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it's kind of cool that it didn't start that night, but that this latest crazy hot streak started after Lou visited with the team. And, they lost that night. Wilson gets thrown out of the game. It's really looking like, oh, God, this is the end. But then they get up to Atlanta and they start turning things around. And I just think of those back-to-back games in Atlanta where they scored 28 runs. And you and I, we talked about, boy, that's the cork coming out of the champagne bottle, baby. Let it spill. And it's, I don't know. Well, I like the team. I love the pitching. And yeah, you're right. It doesn't feel like they're just going to get there. It feels like there's reason to be optimistic that they can do some damage.
And it'll be a wild environment for the next 6 games too.
Yeah.
It's going to be, I get the feeling it's going to be just like that 95 vibe and that 01 vibe, but it's going to be packed house. It'll be like the Savannah Bananas games over the weekend, which by the way, sold out both days.
How about those guys, excuse me, just inventing something, we're going to invent basically a new way to play the game. And I love it. I guess they've done this in every city they've gone into on this tour. They get a couple of the old timers to come out. So even if you guys are having an off night, you bring out a Jamie Moyer or an Edgar Martinez and the place goes nuts. It's show business, Dave. Sports is show business, and we all tend to forget that sometimes. And these guys have put it right out front.
Yeah, they have. It's a wild show, and I was wondering about so many people go to it, and well, it's just fun. I think the bottom line is it's fun, and there's something about it's Bill Veeck would have loved this.
Yeah,
Bill Veeck would have been pushing for this to be a part of baseball. Baseball always had this kind of spirit in it, and the Bananas are kind of the living proof of it. And it was kind of cool to see Jamie Moyer come out there, and it was a neat weekend.
Yeah, and it's the modern day baseball version of the Harlem Globetrotters. I don't know how long this will last. Maybe the novelty will wear off. I bet they're able to play games in Savannah as a tourist attraction for a lot of years. And I'm not saying that they can't keep touring. I bet they will. They'll come out next summer. Why not? If you're putting 55,000 into a ballpark, why not try it again next summer? Maybe eventually you got to scale down to minor league parks. Well, there's a lot of those. These guys, I mean, they invented they invented something, which is nice to see.
And then there was the Apple Cup, which was kind of interesting, although I kind of never felt like it was really a close game. But it was interesting watching Washington and wondering what they're going to be able to do against the best team in the country this week.
Yeah,
against Ohio State. I think it's a really interesting matchup for them because, their QB is legit. Williams is legit. They had some real weapons on offense. And, it'll be interesting to see how they handle that particular situation, playing a number one team on the road. It was good to get this win here on the road, get that out of Jed Fish's, you don't have to worry about winning your first game on the road against the number one Ohio State Buckeyes. The line has already gone down too. I think it opened at 11.5. It's down to 9.5 already. So, people are thinking Washington, maybe able to make a run at this. And if they play a great competitive game, it would be, I think, impressive.
Well, Ohio State is great, but the Texas win is looking just so-so in the
Right.
weeks after. I should say so-so. I mean, you beat Texas, but I don't think this is a behemoth. You've got that long home field winning streak that you're trying to protect. You come
got
off
some experience with messing those up, don't they?
Yeah, right, yeah.
Miami.
So, yeah, good. But this one's in Seattle, so they're protecting their own home streak in Seattle. But it's I love the Husky. It's a 12:30 kick. The Husky fans for we want 12:30 kicks. Well, here's a 12:30 kick for you. We'll see how it goes for them, but I wouldn't count them out on that. No way.
No, it'll be fun. It should be fun, and they've been a good watch so far this year.
Yeah. Hey, I'm just guessing. Is that your vent guy firing up back there that I hear? Or is that
Yes,
me,
it is.
maybe? Oh yeah.
No, it's
good.
me.
Do you want to bring the vent guy in and we can interview him for a few minutes to see how he's going?
I'm wearing underwear, so probably not.
I'm glad you're wearing underwear, but I think from that statement, I'm assuming you're not wearing pants then. You just have the underwear.
Well, right. I'm not wearing pants.
I try to put on some pants. Hey, we were talking a couple other notes here before we wrap it up. Talking about how quickly things can change in the NFL. Ask Todd McVay, because they're going to win that game in Philly. They're going to hit a chip shot field goal and win it, and instead they lose. Those who might have been invested in the game know that the spread was affected dramatically by that. That was one of the greatest examples ever of the NFL being so unpredictable.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple of games like that at the beginning, that ended that way. And that one was a shocker. Tampa was a shocker. The NFL, they call it, when I watch on the Red Zone, he calls it the witching hour.
Yeah,
the fourth quarter. And it was on display yesterday. I mean, the NFL showed again why it is what it is and why it's so popular and why it's so unbelievably, get you glued to their seats, is that any game can be a fantastic game.
Right. And and look, more losses getting handed out in the West is good. So give the Rams one, and then I don't know what to make of Arizona, because they played the Niners tough in San Francisco. I still don't know what to make of San Francisco either. I don't believe in them. I'll say that. I don't believe in the Niners yet. And, we'll see how that goes. But this will be a short, quick week for the Hawks, and hopefully a chance for them to get to 3-1.
They get there, it becomes a different feel about the season, in my opinion.
Groz, would you like to hear a funny animal story to wrap things up?
Why not? Before the vent sucks me out of life.
This one, right? You and your underwear. This one starts out bad and just keeps getting worse. Peggy Jones got the shock of her life recently while doing yard work at her home in Texas. She saw something kind of out of the corner of her eye falling from the sky, and it hit her arm, and she realized that what had hit her arm and what was coiling around her arm was a snake.
What?
That had fallen out of the sky. So you're out there doing yard work, Groz. You're out there tidying up your tomato garden, and you go, hey, what's that? Wham! And it gets on your arm and goes, blah, 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 and it wraps itself around your arm. It's a 5-foot-long snake.
Snakes are falling out of the sky.
Now, you think things are bad. How can they possibly get worse? Well, she screamed for her husband, who was inside, and she began shaking her arm to remove the snake. But this only angered the snake, who tightened its grip and began striking her in the face, knocking her glasses off.
Jesus.
Now the situation manages to get worse in a matter of seconds when a brown and white hawk swoops down, attempting to retrieve its lunch, which it had dropped while it was flying back to its hawk's nest.
Uh-huh.
So now
sounds like an episode of Jackass, for crying out loud.
You got this woman screaming. Her husband's trying to get out of the house. The snake is wrapped around her arm. The hawk is peeling the snake off of her arm, and of course using its talons, and frankly, not caring much what happens to this woman's arm. So it's just slicing and dicing her arm up. So eventually the bird gets the snake off. Bird flies off. Snake meets its demise. By now, her husband gets there. But he says it took him several minutes to figure out what happened because my wife was hysterical. She couldn't explain what had happened. And he says, maybe one of the reasons she was hysterical was because 2 years earlier she'd been bitten by a venomous snake.
Oh, for crying out loud.
I think if I'm her, I'm never going outside again. Like, I survived a snake attack. Now I got this. I'm just going to stay inside for the rest of my life.
And you'd have to understand. You'd have to understand.
Yeah, I think you would. All right, watch out for the vent man, Groz.
Yeah, he's coming, man. It's getting louder.